Hey everybody, happy Friday. Welcome back. We are heading into our last session of week 2, so we're all the way halfway through the program. That means we're finishing up this week on partner work, working with other people, and we'll move next week into more intentionally exploring story and character, and then maybe creating some pieces for our last week. So we're going to start as we always will with our opening breaths. I know I'm coming today from some not great feelings in my body or in my heart or mind, so I would invite you first to just shake a little bit, because that's something I need to enter into a creative space today. Give yourself a bit of a massage in your neck and in your face. And let some sound out on a sigh. Another one, breathing in. One more, breathing in. So I let you in on the secret of how I am feeling today. However you are feeling, let's take some breaths together to start our class, as we always do. So get yourself into a comfortable position that is a little more alert, a little more open and receptive than you might normally be sitting. Concentrate on air flowing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Sometimes I like to imagine that as the air flows in through my nostrils and processes down my windpipe into this center region of my body, I imagine the air turning warm and kind of taking on a golden color inside me, and then flowing back out through my mouth to spread the golden nutrients of breath out into the world. So play with that visualization, play with that image of breath coming in, turning warm inside your chest cavity, floating down into the diaphragm, picking up some golden warmth from your body, and then flowing back out as a kind of light from your mouth. And we're going to try something called a square breath today. This is a breath that really helps if you're feeling anxiety or if you're feeling kind of a little dead in your body. This is a breath that can really enliven you but also calm you at the same time. And the way that and I learned this from my friend Genevieve, who is another glitter goddess and a yoga teacher. The way that this breath works, I'll open my eyes for a second to look at you while I'm explaining this. The way that this breath works, we're going to breathe in on a count of 4. That's one part of the square. Then we're going to hold it at the top of our breath for 4 counts. Then we'll breathe out for 4. That's the third side of the square. And then we'll hold it for 4 counts before breathing in again. So we're going in a cycle. Okay? So I'll start it. You can start with me. I'll do the counting. Breathing in. Hold it. Breathe out. Hold it. Breathing in. Hold it. Breathing out. And hold it. 2 more times. Breathing in. And hold it. Breathing out. And hold it. Last time. Breathing in. And hold it. Breathing out. And hold it. Awesome. Shake that out. So one of the things that I think many of us are feeling right now, myself included, is a sense of being out of rhythm, out of whack, out of a sense of routine that feels stabilizing. Too much routine can be really hard for us as creative practitioners, but not enough routine can also be completely paralyzing, because at the end of the day, we need to be able to depend on certain things in our external environment to make us feel stable enough and safe enough to take the risk of creating things. So I was coming into this session feeling really destabilized by not having a routine. So I invite you into our breath practice that we always do to open, and specifically this square breath practice. I invite you to try that in your daily life. I'm going to try to remember to try that more often too. I think honestly, if I had been able to remind myself to do a square breath earlier today when I was feeling really crazy, maybe I would not have felt quite so crazy. Inviting ourselves into a rhythm that is regular, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 can really do wonders for our mental health. So the last thing that I usually would say in our breath practice that I didn't quite say today is that wherever you are entering this session from, whether it's from a happy day so far or a frustrating day so far or any other number of things, know as always that you are welcome to bring whatever here that is helpful, and you are also welcome to leave whatever you can at the door. Thank you for joining me in that. Because we're at the halfway point, I thought we would do a check-in on our hopes and fears and agreements that we did on day 1. So I happened to write mine down here. You might have written yours down, and you might not have, and that's okay, but you can still check in. Take a moment to just flip back to last week, at the beginning of last week when we first started these sessions. We articulated our hopes for this process, our fears about this process, and what agreements we would come to in order to make this all work. So I expressed that I hoped that people watching these videos will feel empowered to make creative choices. I still hope that. One way that you can let me know if that's working for you or not is by liking and commenting on the EdModo videos and sharing some of your own creations with me. I always leave those prompts in the comments of the video so that you have things that you can do in between classes if you want. I also hope that I will grow in courage and that this experience will inspire me to keep reawakening my theater practice. That is working for me. I'm noticing as I go through a lot of these exercises and a lot of these theater games that I haven't done in many years that it's reminding me of how much I love theater and how much I love this training as a way of bringing some spiritual awareness and awakeness into my life. I fear that no one will watch these videos. I fear people will find them silly or boring. I still have that fear. Part of the reason that Hanna and I both kind of are reaching out at this moment to say, hey, if you are watching and it is inspiring you to do some stuff, let us know, is because I'm not sure if the format that I'm doing these things in is working for you. So let me know. This is an invitation to really be honest with me about saying, hey, this part really works for me, this part really doesn't, and then I can switch what I'm doing to better serve your learning this summer. And I fear that I will run out of interesting things to say or do. I fear I will not facilitate the class well. I still have that fear sometimes too, but I've been surprised that when I just sit down and think about what I want these classes to be, there are lots of exercises, and there's so many that I wish we could do if we were in the same room that are hard to do on YouTube. So it's going okay, I think. So my agreements were with myself. I said that I agree to always set aside time in my week to make these videos with a clear heart and mind. I was really struggling with that this morning, but I'm really glad we just took that breath practice because that helped me clear my heart and mind to be here. And I agree to push back on the voice in my head that tells me my ideas are stupid. I agree to try them out anyway. I've been doing that. I've been feeling really stupid a lot of the times when I'm just like yelling at my computer screen and you're not there, and I don't know if, my roommates are hearing me and judging me. I feel really silly a lot of the time, but I'm pushing back on that and doing it. So I encourage you to look back or think back to your own hopes, fears, and agreements. And if there's anything about that that you want to share with me in terms of saying, I had this hope at the beginning and it is being fulfilled or it's not being fulfilled. I had this fear that I'm still feeling or I've kind of gotten over, or, here were some agreements I made and they are working for me or they're not, and I need to make some new agreements with myself or with me. Please let me know so that we can make this class better for you. Okay? let's move on to our warm-up. Hello. So in the spirit of getting into a rhythm that is stabilizing for us and that makes us feel ready to engage in creative practice, we're going to do some stretches in time today as though we were doing them kind of as a dance. So we're going to start with our shoulders, and I will give you the count. So we're going to start by rolling backwards, both shoulders together. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch back. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alternate. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got out of rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Now we're going to tilt our head to one side, get our palm here, and not pulling our neck down, but letting our elbow just kind of just fall gently with the force of gravity. We're going to hold this for 4, then we're going to go swoop our neck over for 4, and then do the other side, and then swoop our neck back. Okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Swoop. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Swoop. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Swoop. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Swoop. 1, 2, 3, 4. All the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Let's try that same movement with our neck, but let's do it in four kind of distinct movements. So up, right, down, left, up, right, down, left. Keep going. Switch. Right, up, left, down, right, up, left, down, right, up, left. Good. Shake that out. Okay. Good. And let's just do, we're going to do a little bit of squatting, because that's going to get our muscles in our pelvis just ready to move. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, again, on counts of 4, going down 1, 2, 3, 4, coming up 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And what I'm doing here is I'm trying not to like pop my butt out this way, but I'm trying to tuck things in so that I'm using these muscles to lift me and using my core muscles to lift me rather than letting all of that happen in my feet. So trying that, tucking in, going down 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 2, 3, 4, using my core. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello. Up 2, 3, 4. Actually, one more time. Here we go. 2, 3, 4, and up 2, 3, 4. Good. Swivel your hips around. Just getting loose. Someone that I know once said, free your pelvis, free your mind. And she meant that we carry a lot of tension here, especially those of us that are men, I think, carry a lot of tension here. So loosening up and just allowing ourselves to be free. Cool. We are going to play a little bit. We were doing, I think earlier this week and at the end of last week too, we were playing with shaping space, imagining the space around us as an active substance that we can interact with. And one of the ways to do that when we're working with partners is just to throw a ball. And if I have this ball in my hand, I really have to believe that it's there. So when I was doing that a second ago where I was tossing it to myself, if I did it believably at all, there's a couple of things that were happening. I really knew that it was actually in my hand. So what I couldn't do is I couldn't violate that principle by touching the space where the ball is supposed to be. I have to respect that there is active space that is the shape of the ball, and I can't just poke my finger into the middle of it because that violates the idea that there's something there. And the other thing that can really help is I follow with my eye where the ball is going. And that gives the audience, whoever's looking at me, a sense that something is really happening. And it's only, oops, and I just made that mistake where I let it go over here. Did you see that? So if I let it go over here, I can't just reinvent it over here. It fell to the ground. I need to pick it back up. Now I have it in my hand again. Now, as I'm moving, if I had my hand over here cupped, then not that much happened over here because I already had my hand cupped in the same way, right? Then it would look like I have a ball in this hand and a ball in this hand. But if I have my hand down and just this one, and then I pop it up, and then it materializes in my hand, that's part of the illusion that's there. So the way that we would do this if we're playing with each other is if I just toss this ball to you, now you can receive it. And when you receive it, you are probably, unless the ball has transformed in midair, which is one way to play this game, but first just playing this game where the ball is the same size, you're going to want to receive it in the same kind of way and with the same kind of energy that I threw it to you. So try that. I'm going to throw it back to you. Here you go. Nice. And now you throw it back to me. Cool. Thank you. Now I'm going to squeeze and roll this ball and sort of shove it out like a pancake until it becomes a ball about this size. Do you see the size that I'm thinking? So with this one, it's not that much heavier, but it's a little heavier. So my arms are getting a little, and I just broke the illusion because I was trying to show you something. So my arms are getting a little bit heavier, a little tighter because this ball is a little bit more hefty. And with this one, I'm gonna send it to you. And you also might want to, again, get it in the same energy that I gave it to you. So one more time, I'm gonna throw it to you. Here you go. Good, throw it back to me. Whoop. Nice, thank you. Now, what if it is, in fact, not a ball, but a giant stone? Let's see how this goes. It's really, really big, this boulder, so I gotta get underneath it. And it's really hard and heavy to lift. So I've got to use all the muscles in my body to move this giant boulder, but I am going to throw it to you. How do you receive it? Nice. I see that you got it. Awesome. Now you want to send the boulder back to me? Okay, I'm ready. 1, 2, 3. Ow. Oh, I got it. I'm gonna put it down. Okay. So, let's pause. We just did a kind of concrete experience together where we were playing and experimenting. And notice the things that are happening when we're doing that. So again, there's the active space that we're using to shape an object, and we have to really be conscious that we have that active space that we're using so that the audience believes that it's there too. We're also mirroring each other, right? if I'm sending you this ball and you suddenly respond like that, something must have happened in midair, right? If I'm watching that as an audience member, I say, whoa, that ball was really small and light when he sent it, and it was really enormous when this other person picked it up. So what happened in midair? That might be an interesting thing to have happen in a theatrical piece, but we have to be intentional about the fact that it's happening and not accidental. So the first step before we move into that kind of transforming space is just to let it be a mirror, right? The same energy that I'm sending it with is the energy that you receive it with. And that's why we did that mirroring exercise last time. And remember that you can still send me your mirroring exercise so that I can do it along with you. That's how we build a connection between two players on stage. So that's just something you can always be trying with yourself. I mean, it's a really good just general miming exercise to toss the ball back and forth between your own two hands, because that gets you in touch with the idea that space is active and in touch with following an arc so that the audience sees a story happening. So that's a really good foundational mime exercise just for you, but it's also an exercise that you can play with other people in your life, with friends and family members. I'm a little out of breath because that stone was really heavy and I really believed how heavy it was. And notice that when I was doing that, the reason why I'm breathing heavily is because I was using as many parts of my body as possible, right? When we're on stage and we're acting, and if we want the audience to really believe in the emotion and in the action of what's happening, we have to be as fully present physically, not just emotionally, not just mentally, but physically present as we can be. That's why we do some of these physical warm-ups to start. We're going to do one other exercise that's a physical theater exercise, and this one is an exercise in doing two things at once. So the way that this works, my right arm is going to do this pattern: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, my left arm is going to do this pattern: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Both arms are going to start coming up, and then you're going to see if you can get your right arm to do the 3 pattern while your left arm does the 4. And after a couple of rotations, because 4 and 3 both go into the number 12, you're going to end in this space again, and then you just pick up and keep going. So when I first learned to do this, it was really, really hard for me, and I kept getting freaked out, and I'm still making some mistakes, and I couldn't quite figure out how to do it, but I just kept practicing. And what I just kept doing is I kept doing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, until that felt automatic. And I kept doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, until that felt automatic. And then I just kept trying to put them together until eventually my body knew what to do. So I invite you into that practice. Work with those. Try it for 2 minutes, 3 minutes every day. Maybe you'll find it extremely easy, but I found it really, really hard because I was trying to think about it rather than letting my body actually do the work of knowing that this side needed to move in 3s and this side needed to move in 4s. So dedicate 2 to 5 minutes every day to just practicing that and see if you make some progress. See if you can convince your brain to get out of the mix a little bit and let your body take over. So keeping with this theme of getting really physical in the way that we're making theater, we're going to return to that exercise of taking a shape. And I know I keep doing that. That's like my favorite shape right now. But remember that what my teacher said recently is that taking a shape is just finding stillness and then just finding a different stillness and a different one. So we're going to return to that exercise of taking a shape, but we're going to do it with a piece of music. And I'll say, it is possible that YouTube is going to recognize that I'm playing this music that does not belong to me, and it's going to mute this section of the video. So if it does, I'm also going to post what the music is in the comments so that you can do this along with me. And I would invite you to do this along with me in 2 different ways. So I would recommend probably trying to do one at a time. So maybe playing this section a couple of times to experiment, and then seeing if you can add them together. One way, given that this is this week where we've been working on partner work and working with other people or other things, is to think of the music as a partner. So try to just be with the song and say yes and to each impulse that arises for you. When you hear something in the song that makes your body want to move in a particular way, say, okay, cool, and just move in that way. And then stay there until you feel something else coming from the music that makes you want to move. So one way is to think of this as the music is your partner. The other way to think about it, I'm going to do this exercise right now with the music as the camera's rolling. The other way to think about it is to think of me as your partner, which would be to pay attention to what my body is doing and do something in response. You might choose to mirror me and do the same thing that my body's doing. Or if I'm doing something like this, you might choose to do something that's different from it and that responds to it in a particular kind of way that's not mirroring. So that's the second way to do it, is to use me as your partner. And ideally, if we kind of cultivate both of those, using the music as a partner and then using an actual person as a partner, eventually we get to a place where we can do both at the same time. We can be listening to the music and listening to the music of our partner's body simultaneously. But to get there, we want to try doing these in isolation, okay? So I'm going to put this song on, and I'm just going to move as my body wants to do. Because you're not there with me, I'm going to be doing the first option of just listening to the music and trying to move my body in a way that feels good to the music. Awesome. Whatever you just did, shake it out. And know that you can come back to that exercise with that piece of music or with any other piece of music really that you want at any time. Okay, so we're going to try a couple of language games. Obviously, one of the things that we've been doing a lot of physical work because I think that's a really important piece of building a toolbox as a theater maker. But obviously one of the other really important things that makes theater theater is the use of text, the use of words. So we're going to get into that with some language games. The first one we're going to play is a rhythm game, and rhythm gets us into our body because remember our heart is always going ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. So tapping into rhythm is also tapping into our own body and using language at the same time. So the script of this game is very simple. On this side of the screen, I'm going to be me, and on this side of the screen, I'm going to be you, okay? And this is how the script goes. This is a pen. A what? A pen. A what? A pen. Oh, a pen. Okay? So let's try it this time where I'll say that this is a pen lines and you say the a what, and then oh, a pen. Ready? Here we go. This is a pen. A pen. A pen. And you said, oh, a pen, and I gave it to you. In the real world, when we would play this game, I would be giving you the pen. Now, you try it the other way. So you're going to say this is a pen, and I'll say a what. Ready? Here you go. A what? A what? Oh, a pen. Okay, so then you just pass the pen to me. So that's how we pass the pen back and forth, is we can either take these lines of the script, or we can take these lines of the script. But like we were doing last time when we passed the alphabet back and forth, we're going to pass an emotion. So this time, I'm going to pass you the pen, but I'm going to explore all the different ways I might be really sad about this pen. This is a pen. A pen. A pen! And you got it? Awesome. Now you send it back to me, also with some sadness. A what? A what? Oh, a pen. Okay, so that was us exploring some sadness. Let's try with some glee, some real excitement. You ready? This is a pen. A pen! A pen! Awesome. You send it back to me with excitement. A what? A what? Oh, a pen! Awesome. So we use that game to explore all the different ways that we can communicate emotionally with each other. Even if the script is super not interesting, there's a lot that can happen in the way that the two players play with the words and play with their feelings and emotions. So you can do it with sadness, you can do it with glee, you can do it with fury and rage, you can do it with frustration or disappointment. I mean, you can do it across the entire emotional spectrum. You could switch emotions in the middle of the game if you're in conversation with your partner and you want to try it that way. So that's an exercise in mirroring emotion through the use of language. Awesome. So we're going to try another language game, and this is a language game that to do it we're gonna babble, which means we're gonna talk in a made-up language. Babbling is an acting exercise that requires total yes and energy, because in order to babble in a language that we've never spoken before, that doesn't exist as far as we can tell, we have to really just trust ourselves to let any sound out of our mouth and then just let another sound out of our mouth the next second. And the real thing that we're working towards here is a real, complete belief in whatever we're talking about, so that our partner who's listening to this made-up language really gets what we're talking about, even though they don't speak it. So we'll play this a couple of times. So the first thing that I'm going to invite you to do, and I'll talk to you about this first, and then you can talk back to me. The first thing I'm going to invite you to do is to talk about either the birds in your neighborhood or the bugs in your house, and just talk about it with me in Babble Talk, and really believe in what you're saying and see if you can discover what kinds of feelings you have about whatever you're talking about. So, okay, so that was me talking to you, in case you couldn't tell, about the bugs in my house. Will you talk back to me in Babble form, please? Really? Oh, that's so interesting. I didn't know that. No way. Cool. So that's an example, if you were in the same room with me, of me like really entering into the same world that you're in. And when we're doing all these improv exercises where we're just trying to yes and each other and yes and ourselves, part of what can be really helpful is to have a physical stance and an expression on our face that really shows the other person, I'm listening to you and I'm interested in what you have to say, even if it's in a language I don't understand. So we're gonna try this again, and I'm gonna sell you something. I'm gonna try to sell you a brand new toothpick that I know you need. I know that you think the toothpicks you already have are totally fine, but I'm gonna sell you this new one. So listen to my sales pitch, please. Okay, that was my sales pitch to you. I hope you bought it. I would invite you after this video, if you want, record yourself babbling a little bit. Maybe you can try to sell me something. You can tell me about the birds in your neighborhood or the bugs in your house or the trees outside your window. Talk to me about something, but see if you can really believe that you are really communicating to someone. See if you can really have a sense that you're making a connection with someone, and get in touch with what you feel about what you're talking about, even if it's in a language that no one understands. Okay? So we're going to do one last thing to close out our session today, and this is one of my very favorite exercises, and this just gets us into, I mean, we could have started class with this, but this class has been a little funky for me. As I mentioned at the beginning, I was having a real bad day before this, so everything's a little, topsy-turvy today. But we're going to try this exercise to close, and it's just an exercise where we're going to take 3 deep breaths together, and then we're going to walk around our room calling everything the wrong name. We're just going to point at things as we see them, and we're going to call them something that they're not. And then at a certain point, we're going to come back together. I'm actually going to ring a chime before we do that, so let me get my chime. At a certain point, when I ring the chime, we're going to come back together, and we'll take 3 more deep breaths, and then we'll do our closing breaths to really, really close. Okay? So starting first with deep breaths together, breathing in and out, breathing in and out, breathing in and out. Here you go! Caterpillar! Thing that I use to brush my teeth. Ocean. Beetle. Sand. Thing in the air. Bird. Elephant. Painting. And Range Rover. Okay, come back together. That one's hard, honestly, but I love it. It's one of my favorite exercises. So breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. So that's a game that you can always play when you just need a little pick-me-up. Walk around your room, call everything something that it's not, and see if you don't feel a little bit better by the end. Okay? So we'll close with our final 4 breaths that we always do. Settling into an open posture, ready to close our class. Let out one more sigh because it's been a wacky class. Good. A breath for the ancestors all of us bring to this space and the indigenous people that were here before colonization. Breathing in and out. A breath to thank yourself for your practice today. Breathing in and out. A breath to thank others for their support. Breathing in and out. And a breath for the intentions and well-being of everyone in the TAPA Virtual Theatremaker, for the PASA Virtual Theatremaker community, and all the people in your circle of friends and family. Breathing in and out. The loving and creative human in me celebrates the loving and creative human in you. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and I will see you next week.